friends, attorney Marina Shapelsky here, practicing immigration law since 2002, which is almost 19 years. I'm here to talk about asylum. We've all heard about it before, but people are interested if we even practice it. What are the updates? So here's the short story. Asylum is for people who are afraid to go back to their countries because the government in those countries doesn't protect their rights. Their right to free speech, their right to practice their religion, their right to live their lives, whether they're gay or transgender or whatever it is, anything like that. If you're being persecuted in your country, abused, jailed, allowing people to beat you up because you are who you are, we give asylum to those people as a country, and there's laws that protect people like that, and we help people file for asylum in the United States in the categories where it's race, nationality, religion, political opinion, or social group. Those are the categories that are protected. So if you're in one of those groups and you're afraid to return to your country because you're going to be killed or arrested or beaten up or somehow lose your business or your life or your work because you are in one of those categories and the police and the government will not protect you, we can help you file for asylum. The question number one is when to file for asylum. The best time to file for asylum is within 1 year of you coming into the United States. So if you're here less than a year, that is the best time to file for asylum. Because after 1 year, it's going to get really, really hard to prove why you didn't file on time. So the law says you have to file for asylum within 1 year of your entry to the United States. If you've been here before, if this is not your first visit to US, you'd have to prove why is it that you were able to safely, they think, return to your country and now come back. In other words, is it safe for you actually to go back? Are you maybe lying? And that's because you've been to the United States multiple times and only now decided to file for asylum. So you have to file within 1 year. And of course, it's optimal if this is your first time in the United States to file right now, not to go back home and get your papers ready and get your family together and all come together, because every time you leave and you come back, your chances of winning your asylum go way down, and the judges don't feel bad about you because they think you're able to safely travel to your country and come back, no problem. So that's something to think about. If you're married and if you have children under 21 at the time of filing the asylum, they will be included in your case as your family members or derivatives. So they will, just like you, get a work permit, social, and legalized if they're here with you. Once you win your asylum, even if your spouse and children are in your home country, they will also be able to come here and join you with the same benefits that you have. They will have asylum status as your derivatives. People sometimes ask me, well, what happens if I got my asylum status and my wife has her asylum status because she was in my case? We don't have a green card yet, but we're getting divorced. What to do? There are ways around it for whoever was a derivative spouse. In other words, if you were a dependent and you got your asylum like that as a dependent, but you're getting divorced now, there is a way to get the asylum status on your own separately. It's called nunc-pro-tunc, and we handle that. And if you have that kind of a complex asylum case, give us a call. We can certainly help you. The rules changed in fall of 2020 about when you can get the work permit in the category filing for asylum. It's now 1 year from the date of filing, or 365 days, but we're hoping with President Biden in office that will change. However, it hasn't changed just yet, so I'm putting that out there. The new rules about filing for asylum are you file, you wait 1 year, and then you get your work permit. In other words, you file for the work permit no earlier than 1 year. Who knows, the courts might still throw that out, and the new administration might as well. So what else is important to know about asylum? If you're here and asking for asylum because of your religion, it is important that you continue to practice that religion and you have proof of your practice of your religion for the court. Your story shouldn't be more than like 5 or 6 typed pages. If it's more, in my opinion, and that's my strategy as a lawyer, it's going to be very difficult for the officer and the judge to digest all that story and to get all the details. It is important to take your story, condense it, squeeze it into those 5-6 pages so that you express the main reasons why you're in the category you're claiming, how you were persecuted in the past, or if you go back, how you will be persecuted for that in the future. In other words, if you will be abused for it in the future, and you can kind of explain, and maybe you have relatives or friends who are just like you and they were abused, so you were afraid to be one like them, and that's called fear of future persecution, you have a good case for asylum. Your story has to be precise. It has to have good details of your case. You have to explain the category, how you were abused, how you'll be abused in the future, and you have to say the words, I'm afraid to go back to my country because. And you have to kind of practice that for your interview, because they will ask you to be able to answer in like a 1 or 2 sentences. Why are you afraid to go back to your country? That is the standard for asylum. Why are you afraid to go back to your country? You have to make sure the form is filled out right, every box in the form, and the form is I-589, application for asylum, withholding of removal, and Convention Against Torture Relief. So we check off all of those 3 bases when we file for our clients for asylum. Make sure every line, every box is filled out. Make sure your photo is attached. Make sure you sign it. Make sure your name is printed and there's a date at the end of the form. Make sure you correctly fill everything out. Names for your parents, for your wife or husband, for your children, all the information should be correct. And you do need to include a story when you file for asylum, why you're afraid to return to your country. In addition to that, of course, you have to attach your passports, your birth certificates, any divorces you might have had, any major identity documents with evidence of why you were persecuted or abused in your country, protected category evidence. In other words, you have to put papers in there that prove that, let's say, you are in the religion that you're saying you're in, and that you were beat up or abused in your country or arrested or detained because of that. You have to connect your protected category and the abuse. They have to go hand in hand. You have to say, because I was in the protected category of that, I was abused because of that. So once you have all your paperwork together, we send the asylum application out, we get a receipt notice, and then you'll have to do biometrics, which is your fingerprint and your picture by USCIS. After the biometrics, you wait for the time for your interview. Because of COVID, things are really delayed, so it's hard to predict when you'll be interviewed, but you will be interviewed soon, and you will be questioned about pretty much everything in your application. Remember, the immigration officer in the asylum office has access, can check your visa records. So if you put something in your visa application, they have that. They have that on your computer. So make sure whatever you say at the interview correctly reflects is the same thing as you said in your application for the visa when you apply. Because if you said you're married in your application and you're not married, you have to explain what happened. And maybe some people put incorrect information because they're really desperate to leave, then you have to say that. But most of the time, it's just a mistake or something else. You have to be clear about any differences in your visa application and what's happening at the asylum interview in your application. For more information and to get a detailed, individual, personal consultation about your case, please give us a call. We are here for you. We handle asylum claims since 2002. We'll be happy to take yours and win your case.